Alrighty guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to our 2025 brand new 100 best games of all times edition. Tonight we're going to be going over number 100 to number 81. We're going to be doing 20 games tonight, and we're going to be doing 20 games every night for the next 5 nights in a row. In case you don't know or you didn't watch my intro video and talked about what and how I rank things and how I perceive things, I basically am going to take each game individually and rank them on Pub Meeple and then comparing them and rating a list. And after I get the list done, I then fine-tune the list by looking at a game and saying how many times did I actually play that game this year. And if I played it a bunch, it can move up a spot, 2 spot, or one get an extra 1 point or get an extra 2 points. If I didn't play it a lot, it loses a point or maybe 2 points, depending on how long it's been since I played it. And then I look and say, does this game have a very good solo mode? If it has a very good solo mode, I will give it 1 extra point. I will not take anything away if it doesn't, though. So the game doesn't get penalized for not having a good solo mode. But the games that do have good solo modes will. So, without further ado, it is our top 100 games of all time, starting with number 100 here. So, I've got to switch over to the correct screen here. Alright, so here we go. Number 100. Number 100 is a game that, like one of the most recent games that I came across, it is a brand new game. It is a simple, quick, little dice management game, almost like Yahtzee. It's a free print to play, or you can purchase the game for very cheap and print it out and play it yourself. And the game I'm actually talking about is, of course, PentaQuest, my number 100 game in 2025. And in 2024, did not have a rank because I just started playing this a couple weeks ago. I found it on Board Game Arena. Played it a bunch of times on Board Game Arena. Went on Board Game Geek. Got a couple files that I was able to download and print out. We played the game here on the channel. And then I went back and played it on Board Game Arena again. It's a very simple, easy game. You're putting cards out in front of you. All the enemies or monsters or whatever theme you're playing with has a Yahtzee combination of dice that you need to use to get rid of that enemy. And so, like, for example, you might have 3 ones, or you might need to roll 2 ones and 2 of anything else, or you might need 5 of the same number, whatever, depending on the monster you're fighting. And you're rolling the dice, and you're hopefully going to be able to knock out one of those enemies. And when you take the enemies, they have a special ability on them that allows you to, Happy New Year to you as well, it allows you to alter the dice to turn in that card once you've defeated that enemy. So it's a very simple, easy, quick game. That's probably why it's on the list. It probably, again, I didn't come across this game until the beginning of December, and I think we played it like 8 or 10 times. It's very quick, very simple, probably a 15 to 20 minute game, but it's very strategic in what you're thinking about. You know, I need 3 6s, or do I just use the 2 6s and go for another pair that I can use to get rid of this monster? But if I get rid of this monster, he only gives me a +1 to the dice, you know, and you're kind of doing that. There's a lot more strategy to it than just playing like Yahtzee. And you can lose by rolling the dice and re-rolling your dice and not having any combination that would kill any of the monsters. And if that's the case, you lose. So there is a loss condition in this. I haven't lost yet. Maybe I'm just super lucky. I don't know. But my number 100 is PentaQuest. Brand new game to us in 2024. Number 99. The number 99 shot up, I think, the most I've ever seen ever in any of my games. Last year in 2024, this game was 440th. It is now number 99, and the reason is because I played it several times this year. Hadn't played it for a long time besides this year. We actually played it earlier this year with Lower Slower Board Gamer, and this is called, it's a super cool, interesting train game I do love me some train games. Railways of the World. It's, in my opinion, the best train game that I own and have. And I really like how this game is. It's about taking cubes and building your train tracks to different cities, and then you can ship the cubes to these cities to earn you some money. The game within the game is you start with zero money. So every time you do something, you have to take a loan from the bank that you have to pay back. So you would like to get a bunch of loans, but every turn you got to pay all that money back. So you're constantly struggling to, maybe I don't want a loan. I will just do this instead. So that's what really makes it interesting for me. I played this solo on my channel earlier this year, and I thought it played fine. Last year's solo mode. I thought, I played just a couple different factions and did their own little thing. There are player maps, the expansion maps for different territories. I think we played Mexico, we played Eastern United States, Western United States, there's Sweden, England, there's all kinds of different maps. And some of them are best for 2 players, some are best for 3 players, some are best for 4 players, some are best for 5. There's leader expansion that you can get where each person is now a leader that has a special ability that will give you extra points at the end of the game. You might need to have the longest train track between 2 cities, or you might need to have the most, the biggest engine, or delivered the most green cubes, or whatever the thing is. So I find it very interesting. Again, it's not designed to play solo. I play it solo because I love train games and I think it's a really cool game. I play it solo, but you can play this online as well on Board Game Arena, which I think we're going to continue doing in 2025. But my number 99 is Railways of the World. My number 98 is about ready to get kicked out of the top 100. It is, I tried this game 4 or 5 times. I played this game twice in the last week. And it was very frustrating because I kept losing. We're on the very first book, and I cannot get by the first book. And we keep losing, and the game I'm talking about is the Dresden Files. It was not on my list last year. It's a brand new game to us this year. I've actually had this game for a couple years. I just never played it until this year. I forced myself. It is such an interesting... You have basically each chapter is a book from the Dresden Files actual book series. So number 1 game is going to be called Stormfront, and that's the first mission we go through, and it basically has a bunch of enemies that you need to defeat, and you're going to bring some characters in, and you're going to face off against those enemies, but you have to manage your fate points, and every card costs a certain amount of fate points that you're going to lose. And to get fate points back so you can activate more spells and more abilities, you have to turn in some of your cards. So it's managing the cards that you have to try and maximize what you can do with them. It's very interesting because a lot of the characters on the board will interact. Like you can't attack the toad from the book 1 until you've completed one of the investigations. And Marconi's goons, once you complete that investigation, then Marconi takes some damage. And so all those interactions are out there. So you're always like, I'd like to take care of this guy, but to take care of him, I really need to get rid of this guy first. There's a lot of strategy in it, really a lot of interaction. The characters are all varied. I find them very interesting. The reason this is number 98 is it's very... I don't know if it's just because it's solo, it's so difficult. It is extremely hard. It's extremely difficult. I'm not sure if I'm missing some rules. I watched a couple playthroughs online. I think I'm playing it right. Yeah, 99 games on the wall. Mike, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. So I'm not sure. It might go up higher if I could ever get past the first chapter. I played this earlier in the year. I missed it too. I played it 2 more times, like I said, just about a week ago, and I failed both of those. I don't know if I want to just bypass this book and go on to the next book and see if the next book might be easier. I don't know. But anyways, that's my number 98, the Dresden Files cooperative card game. Number 97 is another. We are on a roll here. 3 of the first 4 are all brand new games to the channel here. This is another brand new game to the channel. I played it online with Phoenix Knight, and it's got a very interesting theme where you are trying to hunt down and set up the assassination attempt of Mr. H. And that is called Black Orchestra. When I talk about Mr. H, I'm talking about the German leader from World War II. You all know who he is. This is one of these games that's all about cooperation, and manipulating the board until the right opportunity comes, and then you strike, and hopefully all the stars align, and you have all the equipment, you have everyone in the right place, and you can try to take out Mr. H. It is very thematic. It is very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very kind of over the top. It's very, it's not complex. It's a very uncomplex game, but it is very deep in strategy and trying to figure out, because you got Goebbels is moving around on the board, and he can interrupt some of your plans if you know, and you can't do bombs plans, and then you have the Gestapo running around, which might capture some of your guys that are setting things up on the board. It's a very interesting game. You're not going to find very many games that have a theme where you're trying to assassinate Mr. H. But this game does, and it does a very respectable job with history. It does a very respectable job with the theme it's trying to put out there for its players. And it does it in not a derogatory or anti... what's the word I'm looking for? Yes, Mr. Hatter. The Mad Hatter is who you're trying to get. It does it in a very elegant way without trying to appease the wrong side of the population. Let's just say it that way. All right, so that's my number 97. Number 96. This is, this is a very good game. It is a war game. It is based upon the Commands and Colors system, and it uses the same system for all of the Command and Colors, but in this one, it uses a chi system which you use to power up special abilities, and of course, I'm talking about Command and Color Samurais. We actually played this a couple times this year, had a good time with it. I find this very interesting because of that chi mechanic. It was number 90. It was number 33 last year, so it fell quite a bit. It fell actually 63 spaces. Just because, number one, it's, we only got to play it once or twice this year, not a lot. It is, again, there is a solo mode with the solo system. I don't necessarily like the solo system that GMT has created for it, so I just play both sides myself, which again can be a little bit of extra work as a player. And this one of the scenarios we played, I think was very imbalanced. It wasn't very fun. Like one side completely ran over the other side, and there's not a lot of different units in this one. There's only just a couple units. There's no expansions. There's no anything. It's just this game, which is kind of disappointing. I would have liked to see more samurais, more ninjas. Throw in some dragons, throw in some fantasy creatures. Let's go hog wild. I don't know, but it's just, it's just a little, it's kind of just a little worn out. That's why it's dropped 63 spots down to number 96 this year. But it's still in the top 100s, which means any game Any game, I don't care if you're number 100 or number one, is a great, awesome game. I have way too many games to put any bad games in my top 100 of all time. That's for sure. Number 95 is another brand new game. So of the first 5 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, of the first 6, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the first 6 are all new. This is another brand new one. This is a weird, and I'm talking weird, named city building game where you're putting out all kinds of different tiles and you're manipulating the tiles and building up on them, or you're building the city out wider and you're trying to get resources so you can do all this. The game I'm talking about is called Ginkopolis. It doesn't have very good artwork. As you can see, it's kind of like, it's fine artwork. It's just, I don't want to say cartoony. It's just kind of, it doesn't like inspire you to be like, oh, it's, the artwork fits the game though. The game is very quirky in how you do things, and the artwork is very quirky. And so that's the general gist I get from this game. Very cool. I've actually played this a couple different times during the year. We played it earlier in the year, had a great time, so I wanted to play it again. I think we played it in October, November, played it again, and it was just as good. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put this on my list. Now, the reason it's not up higher on the list is because it is a little quirky. There is, the solo mode is a little, it's kind of dumbed down. You're just taking cards and flipping it over, and whatever that card is, that's what the AI does. There's no choice. It just does its thing. It's always building, which can be good or it can be extremely difficult because you're trying to area, you're trying to have the most buildings in a certain area of the same color, and the AI can completely screw itself by flipping up a card in a spot that's going to, lose it some points, which wouldn't be very smart if you were a player. But of course, you're just playing the AI, so it's just very random. Still a very interesting game. You're going to be putting out tiles, and then you got cards that match the tiles, and you're drawing the cards, and you have 3 cards. You get to choose one of them to do each round. So you have to decide, I can activate this tile, or this tile, and you have to figure out which is going to be the best option for you. Yes, I know Ohio State's playing right now. Of course I know Ohio State's playing right now. It's 34-7 or whatever. It's a game over. Hopefully it's game over anyways. It's a very interesting game. A little quirky. Plays pretty good in about an hour game. It's a kind of a lighter Euro game. Doesn't try to be too much and doesn't do anything other games do, and it kind of separates itself because of its quirky artwork and quirky rules and quirky way of doing things. All right, number 94. That's why I'm trying to get through this list so I can go finish watching the game. Number 94 is a game that was number 76 last year. It's another war game. This game was my number 8 war game in 2023. It was my number 8 game of all time, and it's fallen a long ways. And the reason it's fallen is I just don't play it. I just can't get it out. I can't find the time to set it up. It's a monster game, and it is Paths of Glory. There is no solo mode for this. Of course, you can play solo both sides. I tried that. I play one side, and then I get bored, and I put it away. And I then get it out like 6 months later, and I do the German side, and I'm committed, and I'm going to play the French side, and then I never do. And it's just because it's so undaunting, and because it is such a mammoth game. I think what I need to do is actually just sit down with Jerry or someone and just schedule like a weekly game of this where we can just continue it on and on and on, and then I won't have any excuse to not continue it. It is a big monster commitment. It is it's just a full-size game, but it's a monster game in time and length. Is what I'm talking about. It's not size-wise. It's a normal board with a normal amount of counters. It is one of the best games ever created. It is a perfect design. The only thing that holds this down and knocks it all the way down to number 94 for me is the commitment and the time it takes to play this game. If it was a 2 or 3 hour game, this would be much, much higher, but it's not. It's just not. There's no way. If you had 2 dedicated people playing this, it's going to take you. I know when I was up at Buckhead Game Fest, I saw 2 fellas playing this game pretty much for the whole weekend, and it was just this game they were playing. Now they played other things in between this game with other people and stuff, but it was a massive undertaking just for those 2 guys to play it over the whole weekend. So it's just a longer game. Number 93. This is a great game. Unfortunately, I didn't get to put the actual board game on the channel, but it's kind of my go-to app I got now, and it is really starting to come back. I played this game a bunch. Unfortunately, my board game is buried, and I'm talking like way back in there. I would have to literally move like 80 games out of the way just to get to my board game version of it. And it's an awesome worker placement game. It was not even ranked last year. It is Lords of Waterdeep, my number 93 for 2025. This is a tile placement, worker placement game where you're going to take your little workers and put them out there to earn resources to try and complete quests. Each of your quests is going to have a certain number of workers that it needs. In this case, we're talking about fantasy creatures where you have rogues and clerics and fighters. But you can just think of them as green cubes, black cubes, and red cubes. And once you complete that many, or once you have that many cubes, you complete that quest. And I guess for me, is not very thematic. It's a great design and great gameplay, and it's really interesting. It plays great. There's an app which allows you to play it. I think, if I could be wrong on this, but I think it's on Board Game Arena. I have to double check. But I have it on Steam. I play it on Steam every once in a while. I have the app, and so I just haven't had a chance to sit down and play it. That's why it's number 93. I played it when the wife's in their surgery room, and I can sit down and play a few turns and have some fun with it. But I haven't actually had the board and dice version on the table this year. That's why 34.15. Okay. So that is number 93. Great design, great gameplay. If I didn't have these games in the way, I would probably put it on the table some more. Again, it's just not a solo-friendly game. You can play several different characters and factions yourself, but it takes some of the fun out of it. This is a game, if you have 2 or 3 people, you should sit down and play it. You'll have a good time, and it'll be an awesome experience. You can bring new players, experienced players, use the expansion, not use the expansion, whatever, and it'll be a good time for everyone. All right, number 92 is another brand new game to me this year. We just played this not too long ago. In fact, it is right here. I can touch it because that's how recent it was that we played it. This is by one of my favorite companies, Thunderworks Games, and it's a very interesting idea and thought again. And this is going to be called Lockup. This is basically Thunderworks game. It's a worker placement game in a dungeon setting, and you take a faction, and you're basically there's different areas in the dungeon, and you're trying to area control those with your pieces. And you have pieces that are 1 strength, 2 strength, 3 strength, 4 strength, 5 strength. You have special pieces that will make the enemy take the awareness tokens and put them on their things. So when the guards bust in, they always try to arrest all the faction that has the most awareness on it. And so there's a lot of interesting strategy to this game. It's very cool. Thunderworks, I love all their games. They do a really good job with it. I've actually had this game for years, and I just hadn't been inspired to play it. One day I'm sitting here, I grab it off, and I say, I'm going to play this game today. And at the end of the playthrough, I was like, wow, this is a really good game. It is a very solid game with a lot of thought. The AI is very simple to run. The AI is going to be putting guys out there just like you, and on your turn, you can flip up one of them to see what's there. You're trying to build different pieces that will allow you to get victory points at the end or get special abilities, and there's all kinds of different things you can build, but of course you need the resources from the different rooms. It's just a neat, interesting game. I think it would be higher on the list if it was, I don't know. I just think if I played it more, maybe I would like it more. I really think it's a great game. It's probably an underrated game. You don't see this game talked about much. You don't hear about it much, and I think it's a very solid design. Go check out my playthrough of it from just a couple months ago. I had a great time playing it, and I think there's a lot of strategy. Plays about an hour and a half, and it's very cool. I like it a lot. All right, number 91 is a game that was number 138 last year. So it's jumped up a bunch, and it is Nemo's War 2nd Edition. So it is jumped up a little bit as we played this earlier in 2024. We played this game. I ended up buying the Super Deluxe Edition because when I played Nemo's War, I was actually sick and coughing in my throat, and I could barely talk. So I've always felt bad that I didn't give Nemo's War a very good look, because the first episode is fine, but then in between the first episode and the second episode, I got sick, and by the second episode, I was sneezing and coughing, my nose was running, and it was just, but I was like, I have to try to finish this. So, I ended up getting a really good deal at Thanksgiving time for the Nemo's War Deluxe Edition, which has all the expansions, it has the upgrading components and everything. So I'm going to be trying to do a full playthrough of Nemo's War again. The interesting thing about this is if you've ever heard of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, it's basically 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the board game. You're taking Nemo's ship and you're going around and you have your own views on society and history and what is right and what is wrong. And depending on which mode you play in, you can play in more scientific, you can play more aggressive mode, you can play more exploration mode. There's different modes, and based upon those different modes, you're going to create your deck slightly differently, so you have a different experience throughout the game. And with the deluxe edition, you are also going to get a lot of the extra cards, and you get more options. You have more upgrades on your Nautilus ship, and it give you different strategies to try out, different things to do. So I'm really looking forward to trying out Nemo's War 2nd Edition once again. But right now, number 91, not a bad game at all. Very interesting. Again, the decisions you have to make about, first of all, before you even start, am I going to try for exploration, scientific, attacking other, I forget what they call it, but basically where you're trying to dominate the sea. And then based upon that, you're going to add certain cards to your deck, so it's always different. You're getting different experiences. And then the most interesting thing about this game is every time you got to roll a die for things. And every time you roll the die, you can add in your captain or the ship or your crew as a bonus to your dice roll. But if you fail the dice roll, whatever you added in as a bonus takes damage. So your ship is going to take damage, or Nemo is going to take damage, or your crew is going to take damage. So you always want to add something into the roll, because otherwise you're not going to pass a lot of the checks. But you also don't want to put in too many things, because if you roll really bad, you will have a destroyed ship or wounded ship and a wounded captain and wounded crew, and every time they get wounded, their values go down and their abilities on the ship go down. It's a very tough, interesting fighting game. We're trying to have an adventure, and I think it's a really cool one. Number 91, Nemo's War. That's the first 10 done in the books. Let's go to the next 10. We're going to do this 5 straight days. So tonight is just number 100 to 81 is tonight. Tomorrow night, we're going to be doing 80 to 61. All right, number 90. This is number 134 last year, so very close to this ranking. It is a mini dungeon crawl game. And it is called Descent: Journeys to the Dark First Edition. I actually played First Edition for you guys several times, twice, and I played Second Edition, and this is the First Edition I like so much better than I like Second Edition. I did not have a great time with the Second Edition, but this is number 134 last year. We played this several times, went through some of the campaigns. I wanted to try the Second Edition because it has a app that will help play the Overlord. I didn't like that nearly at all. So I went back to the First Edition, bought some of the expansions for it. So in 2025, we might be getting like an actual playthrough campaign. Again, this is designed to have one person play the Overlord and other players, like 3 or 4 players, play characters. So it's a one versus many type game, but you can play it solo and just do the Overlord by random card. At the end of the turn, you flip up the card and it'll have a certain effect or do a certain thing against you or whatever. And I think it plays okay this way. That's why it's number 90. It doesn't have a dedicated solo mode. We have to kind of jerry-rig it ourselves. It plays fine. I played it fine solo, and I had a great time. But I love this kind of game, and I love the strategy of doing it. It might not play that great for you guys, but it's great to get back into it. It's been a long time since I played this game, and probably 10 to 15 years since I've had this game at least. We've been... since we moved down to Florida, it's been 10 years already. 10 years in Florida. I can't believe that. And I sold all my stuff before I moved down here, so it's been minimum 10 to 15 years. This is a big one here. This was number 16 last year. Number 16, and this is taking the toll. This is a game that takes a toll because I didn't get a chance to play it, but I think once this year. And because I'm playing all these new games and I'm playing a lot of other games and I just don't have time to go back and play every single solitary game I have. I don't have time to play 662 different games. This game I think we only played it once this year. And it is number 89 this year, target for today. It was number 16 last year. I love this game. It's all about taking your bombers into Germany during 1942, 1943. All my pilots and all my planes have names. All my pilots have names. Every mission you go on, you're going to be, you can be swarmed over by the enemies. You have to fight the Luftwaffe. You have to go and reach your bomb target. Then you have to actually put the bombs on target, then you have to make it all the way home. It really gives you a narrative experience that is great to play through. It's just, I just didn't get it to the table. I think we've got it to the table once this year, maybe twice. It was not very much playthrough. That's why it fell from all the way down to number 16. Now, I was running a campaign in 2023, and that's why it was all the way up at number 16, because I was playing it maybe 10 to 15 times. And I was running through a whole campaign and taking taking players, different YouTubers were pilots in my planes, and each of my subscribers had their own planes, and so we were taking them out on missions. And we did that for a long, long time and had a great time with it. And 2024 came around and we just didn't do it. We just didn't continue the playthroughs. So that's why it fell quite a bit. Not that it's a bad game. Number 88. Well, see, number 88 took its place. Like when I could have played Target for Today, instead I played number 88. There we go. I clicked on it. I knew I clicked on it. France, 1940, second edition. It's my number 88 game. It was brand new to me this year. Very solid World War II hex encounter war game with very interesting mechanics. I actually played through the tutorial mission in the rule booklet. I broadcast that out, and then I actually played it on Facile. I never completed one scenario. I always got to the point where it was like, I don't know, because I don't know much about this. I don't know what I should do. And I thought, well, I don't want to continue doing this. Maybe I'll find somebody to play it with. I got a lot of war game buddies so we can sit down and try it out. So I didn't want to make a fool of myself playing the game when I could just sit down with somebody and play it and have a good time. So that's why it's at number 88. It was a great game and very interesting. It's part of the 40X Seminit series of games by GMT. I love them. The production quality is great, awesome. And I really had a good time with it. I just would have liked to spend more time with it. And again, if it was like Normandy 44 or Battle I was a little more familiar with, I could have sunk my teeth into it a little bit more, maybe a little bit more. I just didn't get a chance to sink my teeth in very deep, but deep enough to make it number 88. 87. My number 87 was number 44 last year. So this has dropped a little bit, and even though I did play it once or twice, it's a mini Euro game that has a great reputation. A lot of people really love this game. That's the reason, I kind of looked into this game to find out what it was like. Tried it out. I played it. There's now 3 games in this series, and the game is called Great Western Trail. The game that I am going to rate here is Great Western Trail 2nd Edition. There is the Argentina and the New Zealand, which are all 3 of these games are very, very similar. They have just different themes with them. And they add a few rules differences here and there. It was number 44 last year. A little bit of a drop just because I didn't play it that much. It is a really good game. It is, again, plays pretty good solo mode. It has a really good solo mode that does pretty decent job of doing things and then simulating other players, putting things on the board or altering things on the board, and then giving you a new situation that you as the player have to deal with. It is basically a path that will branch off, and you will have to take your little guy and you can move them either 1, 2, or 3 spaces. And you are then going to, you can go 1, 2, 3, right? And then you can go 1, 2, 3 again. And then you can go 1, 2, 3, and you're in Kansas City, and then you can ship your sheep out. But you only get to activate the locations you stop in. And the other person might be going a lot slower, and they may be going 1, 2 spaces, and every time they get to activate, they get to do special things, and you're trying to manipulate your cards. Because when you get to Kansas City doesn't want the same cows. They want different cows. So you want a green cow, a yellow cow, a white cow, an orange cow, and a purple cow. That's perfect. You have all the different cows. You can turn new cows in. If you get 4 white cows, they only want 1 white cow. So you're wasting time. So there's some hand management, which I think is pretty neat. There is that whole jumping 1, 2, or 3 spots, which how fast do you want to go? Because the sooner you get to Kansas City, the sooner you get the rewards, the sooner you get money, the sooner you can start your track again. But again, if you jump over too many spots, you don't get to activate all the spots. Do you need to activate these spots? It's all about managing how far you move and what you get to do as you move. So my number 87 is Great Western Trail. Very good game. Check it out if you like mini Euro games. 86. 86 is actually another game. It got bit by I didn't get to play it but once this year. Another one of these games. And this is Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea. It was number 25 last year. Way, way down. It's because I actually played it 2 or 3 times. In 2024, I only played this game once, and again, it wasn't even a full playthrough. It was a couple turns, showing it off, playing with, showing it off to people and showing off one of the scenarios. Basically, it was all I did. I didn't even get it through the whole game. I see the potential in this game. I really want people to like this game. I think it's very neat because your civilization is basically built up of 50 little discs. And those discs are your population. Those discs are your military. Those discs are your technology. Those discs are everything. So you have to decide what you're going to be doing with those little discs. Am I going to try to build my cities up to earn victory points? Am I going to build my town up to a city so that I can put more military units out? Am I going to use my discs as military units and try to expand out? So there's a constant struggle of, I need more victory points, but I also need this. I also would like to get a wonder, and not only that, but you have an awesome hand of cards that you can use to alter or play and cause problems with your opponents or give yourself a boost. Oh, look, hey, I can take over 3 territories next to mountains. I'm going to take over this one, and this one. And your opponent's like, I'm not a big fan of that, but guess what? I'm going to put a plague on your hometown, and so your city that's in your home province has been destroyed by a plague. Oh, that's too bad, buddy. Sorry to hear that. So the best thing about Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea is it plays 1 person, 2 persons, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, and 6 people. There's scenarios, multiple scenarios for every kind of group you have. You have 1 person, there's 2 or 3 scenarios for you. If you have a group of 3, there's 2 or 3 scenarios you can play. So it does give a lot of variability, and for me, I appreciate designers that do that to create things for lots of variability, because, I mean, how many times have we been, my game group is 4 people, we'll play 4-player game, and then somebody has to leave early, and now you're stuck with 3 people, and everyone's scratching their head like, oh shit, what game are we going to play for 3 people? That's kind of a bummer. So I appreciate designs like that give games and give game groups a lot of variability. And it plays solo really good. Number 85. Holy cow, we've done a lot of wargaming. What the hell is going on here? It's almost like I'm a wargamer. Another wargame that took a big dump this year, though. It went from number 47 down to number 85. And this is, again, one of the games. When I look at a game, I look at the game, and then I look at how much I played it, and then how good a solo mode it has. And I've talked about this. I look at the game. If I played it a lot, I'll give it an extra point, or maybe an extra 2 points. If I haven't played it a lot, it'll lose a point, or maybe 2 points. And then if it's got a good solo mode, I will give it a point, but I will not take it a point away against a game if it does not have a good solo. If it has an extra solo, for me, that is a bonus. It's not a penalty. Okay? So, what number are we on? We're number 85. Yes, that's what we're at. This is just another game that got caught up in the you can only play so many games in a year. I played 226 different games. Stormer of the Reich, I'm not even sure I did play it in 2024. This might be one game that I didn't play. I'm trying to remember. I know I played with Blue Tweezers. It might have been 2023. I don't know if I even played this game, but it's going to drop all the way from 47 to 85. And if I don't play it this year, it's probably going to drop on the list. It is a game where you're taking on the role of Luftwaffe Staffel, and you're trying to send out your different pilots to defeat the Allied bombers that are coming in to bomb your country. And so you're trying to take the fighters and their escorts and the bombers out while trying to keep your pilots alive as best you can. I had the first edition of Great Western Trail. I wonder what differences in the second edition. The second edition just fine-tuned everything. I had the first edition, got rid of it. The second edition is a much more refined, better game, better components, better quality, and it just streamlines the game process a little bit better. That's the only difference. Back to Storm Above the Reich. It is Luftwaffe pilots trying to shoot down bombers, and you're going to be rolling a bunch of dice and having the dice outcomes and drawing cards to see what kind of damage you can do when you shoot, and you're trying to get different, when you're coming in tail high and low and sideways, and then once you bypass the bombers, what kind of threat locations you're in. It is a kind of a tactical game. You only have so many turns you can stay afloat with the bombers, and then when you take damage. The one thing that I've never been a big fan of with any game is when I take damage, I draw a chit out of a hat to do damage. I just never been a big fan of that, but that's how they do it, and so that might be why it's just falling for me. I've had chances to play this in this year, and I just never got around to it. So that's why it fell down to number 85. 84 is a big box game. And when I'm talking big box game, I am talking about a big box game. It is a huge, massive, probably weighs somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 pounds. It is a heavy Euro game that has all the components for one of my all-time favorite games, Terra Mystica, the Big Box Edition. It is taking your civilization through the ringers, and you're trying to build it up and progress through the ages, earning victory points. There are been many offshoots from the Terra Mystica system one of them's been called Gaia Project, Age of Innovations. They all use kind of the same mechanisms from Terra Mystica. And this game, we actually played it several times. Again, not fully through to completion. There's an app that we got that helps us play this game. Or maybe it was, I'm trying to remember if it was an app or if it was on Tabletop Simulator. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Anyways, it's one of these games that was designed to do great things, and it was a great game, and everyone respects this game, but it's kind of seeing its age, where there's better, kind of more updated versions of it with Gaia Project and Age of Innovations, which are both literally right here next to me, ready to go to get to the table and play. I'm not sure Terra Mystica might last too much longer. It's still a great game, and I have to give it credit for everything it's done. It's spawned many games that rip off from it. I would say it's just starting to show its age a little bit more, and you'll see maybe some of these other games higher up on the list, but it's still a great game. If you can find the Big Box Edition, which has all the expansions, I think there are 2 or 3 expansions for Terra Mystica that really fine-tune and kind of outline it. And not only that, but there is a a file on Board Game Geek that you can download and print out, and you can make your own. I think there was like 15 or 16 more factions. So once you get all the factions that come in the big box edition, and you get the factions that you can print out from Board Game Geek, you have somewhere in the neighborhood of like 48 different factions. So it's a tremendous amount of replayability, and it's a great game to sit down and play. So my number 84 is Terra Mystica. 83 is a new game to me this year. Kind of a surprise game. I picked it up on a whim. It looked pretty good, sounded pretty good, didn't know much about it, and tried it out and was like, wow, this is really good. It plays really good. It's very interesting. This is a game called The Red Cathedral. I actually went out and bought the expansion after I played The Red Cathedral because I'm like, wow, this game's really good. If I can get an expansion that just adds more variability and more variety, oh, yeah, hell yes, let's do that. This is about taking your place in the Tsar history. As the Tsar of Russia wants a cathedral built, and you have to be the main builder. You're going to be building the building. You're going to be building the spires, and you're going to be building the tops. And based upon which part you're building, you're going to earn different rewards and bonus and resources that you can use to build other parts. And then at the end of the game, you look at each individual tower and you see how many parts that you have built in that tower. And if you have any of the decorations built on these parts, it is a very interesting game. I found it very cool where it's not a light Euro, but it's not a medium Euro. I'm going to call it a light medium Euro. It's very, I would say, 45 minutes to an hour, and the AI system runs very quick, very simple. It's going to be just taking pieces and putting pieces out there to take parts in the spire. There are some rules on which piece it'll take. You just follow those rules. Like it will try to build above you. Wherever you try to build, it'll try to build above you if it can. If it can't, then it'll build somewhere else. Yeah, it's a very interesting game. It's not super complex. This is one of these games you can sit down, read through the rules, and set it on the table and look at it and go, oh, okay, I can probably figure out what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to take these pieces and put them on the board, and then these are the decorations, and I need these resources. Oh, look, these resources. These are the resources I'm going to need to build these. Oh, okay, well, that's not too hard. Now, how do I get these resources? Oh, here, I take these pieces from over here, and then I get these resources. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, I can sit down and figure this game out very quickly. It's a light to medium Euro game, lasts maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and it plays really, really good. It's my number 83. Number 82 is a game that was 225 last year. This is by one of my all-time favorite designers. This is a game that I tried to introduce to Phoenix Knights, and he just didn't want to. He just wasn't having any fun. I was having the most fun ever playing this game, but he was not having fun because he doesn't like games where it's very cutthroat, kill your enemies, remove their pieces and do things. The game I'm talking about, of course, absolutely, positively, number 82, Dominant Species, was number 225 last year. Never, hadn't played it. It's been sitting down here at the bottom of my shelf. Played it this year, Phoenix Knight. I was teaching him how to play. I was having a great time. He was not having the greatest time in the world. He just didn't have the... he doesn't like games where you're basically out to screw your opponents. And that's what this game is all about. It's all about your species versus everyone else's species. And finding a way. There are different things you can do. You can migrate to get, move your pieces on the board. You can try to eat your opponents or, damage your opponents. You can try to cause the Ice Age to form on their territories. You can try and get rid of some of their their resources that they're going to be using to feed their population so they can no longer survive in different areas on the board. While the time you're trying to prevent that from happening to you. Then at the end of the round, you're going to try to get these very overpowered cards that will give you special abilities to do things that will, remove enemy pieces or give you special rewards or cause them issues or problems or whatever. It is a game designed for multiple people, 3 to 4 to, I think, I'm not sure even it plays 5, but it probably plays best 4 people. I can remember when I played this 20 years ago, and it was me and my friends at Buckeye Game Fest. There was at least 3 or 4 or 5 of us sitting around the table, and it was very cutthroat, and it was very, if you don't like games where you're screwing your friends over and all that, then you won't like this game. But it is very aggressive. It is survival of the fittest at its best. In my opinion, this is the number 1 survival of the fittest game ever created by mankind, and of course, it's by Chad Jensen. Again, one of my all-time favorite designers. Just about every game that he's designed, including Urban Sprawl, which I think is a underrated gem. I've rated that on my channel as an underrated gem. Go check out my review of that game. Yes, this is one of his all-time classic designs. It is very good. I would highly recommend you try it out. Get some friends together. In fact, this year, I'm going to try and set up a match. Try and get 4 people together. A couple of my subscribers and myself. We'll sit down. We'll have a little 3 or 4 player battle and try it out. Because I think this game, it's been way too long since I played it. It's probably been 15 to 20 to 25 years since I played it. And I repurchased it when down here in Florida. It's been sitting here on my floor, literally right here, for years. Once the reprint came from GMT. And it just waited for me to finally pull the trigger, get it out, and play it. Highly recommend, if you got a game group, you play this game. Solo, forget it. Don't do it solo. I don't think there's a solo. Don't play with it solo. Right now, at least, there's no solo with it. But it's one of those games. Yes, you can play it with one person. You can probably play it with 2 people. But if you got 4 people fighting over different territories, it's going to be survival of the fittest at its best. Yes, and there is a dominant species marine, which you will not see on this list because I have not played the marine. I hear from many sources that the marine edition is even better than dominant species. So I really look forward to trying the marine expansion. It's not even an expansion. It's a standalone version of dominant species marine. It's a completely different game. It's this game, but with, marine factions and marine things you're going to have to do. So we'll look at that in 2025. I have a feeling I have that game. And again, I'm going to try and, I think Survival of the Fittest, probably the best game that I know of for Survival of the Fittest is Dominant Species. So I don't play very many. Cutthroat, kill your opponents, make them suffer. I don't play many games like that. When I do, I want a really good one. This is a really good one. Really good one. And my last one for today. Holy crap. Last one already. 20 games. 20 games in the list for tonight. My number 81. And then we'll be done for tonight already. Holy cow. Don't forget, tomorrow at 7 o'clock, we're going to be doing the same thing. Number 81 is a group of games based upon Dungeons and Dragons, and probably already gave it away. They created these games, and they have adventure. You play characters from the D&D universe. It's based upon the 4th edition of Dungeons and Dragons, another underrated version of Dungeons and Dragons. Everyone hated it, and so they went back And with 5th edition, they went back more to the traditional. I super enjoyed 4th edition. In fact, I have one of the few things that I did bring down with me was all my Dungeons and Dragons books, and I have them all right here in my bookshelf here. I have a boatload of 4th edition because we actually played 4th edition with me and my friends for a long, long time, couple years. So I brought them all down here with me. Probably stupid because, like, who am I going to play them with? Sure, I could start another group up, but now it's not even worth my time and effort. So it's better to play it on the board game, and that board game is, of course, the Dungeons and Dragons. And in this game, we're just going to use the Wrath of Ashladon. There is the Temple of Elemental Evil, the Castle Ravenloft. There's like 5 or 6 games in the series. This spot is reserved for all those games. They're going to be on this spot. I just didn't think that having every one of these games have a different spot just doesn't make sense. I'm just going to use this series at this spot. It is playing characters in 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons with traps, and you're rolling a d20 to make attacks. You're using daily powers, and you're using daily powers and basic powers, and your encounter powers. I'm trying to remember 4th edition now. It was so good, and it has a very nice narrative, campaign style, very quick missions, probably I'm thinking 30 to 40 minute missions. They're not very long. Doesn't seem like they're very long, at least. We played probably the first 4 or 5 missions of Castle Ravenloft, and all the characters play differently. You can level them up. It has a lot of really cool elements, but here's the thing. It's a boxed game. It's like $40 or $50 for a boxed Dungeons and Dragons game, and it's pretty cool. You play without a dungeon master. There's no dungeon master. You're all playing cooperative. The game plays against you. So you're doing your character's turn, and then the enemies take their turn, and they automatically, each enemy does a certain thing. Like Cobalt might move up to closest enemy and stab him with a spear. Roll a d20 plus 4. If he hits, then you do 1d4 damage. Just like Dungeons and Dragons, but it's all like pre-programmed. And that's what's really cool about it. If you ever wanted to just sit back, relax, play Dungeons and Dragons without a dungeon master, playing by yourself, it plays fine solo. In fact, I would highly recommend you play it solo because it plays so good. But number 81 is the Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition board game system, and we'll just use Wrath of Ashladon, which I haven't actually played that one. There's a few of the games I haven't played. I played Castle Ravenloft. I haven't played Legends of Dritz. I've been trying to focus in on one box, Castle Ravenloft, and get through that whole thing. And the cool thing is, as you progress through the campaign, you're going to be fighting bigger and better monsters and bigger and better enemies. You're going to be leveling up, and you feel like a Dungeons and Dragons adventure because your characters are getting more and more powerful. You're able to do more and more things. The weaker enemies feel weaker. The stronger enemies are like, oh no, here comes the big bad wolf, and now he's going to, this isn't good. And it's good. It's a fun, really cool game, and yeah, you can get through a whole campaign mission in half an hour and 45 minutes. Not very long. Well, there you go. That is number 100 down to number 81. We will go over those super quick again in reverse order because all I have to do is just unclick them. Number 81 is Wrath of Ashladon. Number 80... Oops. Clicked the wrong one. This one. Number 82 is Dominant Species from GMT Games. Number 83 is The Red Cathedral. Number 84 is The Big Box from Terra Mystica. Great value if you can get it at a decent price. Awesome game. Number 85 is Storm of the Reich from GMT Games. Awesome game. I just didn't get to play it, and it's going to keep falling down unless I get my butt over there and play it. Number 86, Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea. Same thing as the last game. If you don't play it, it's just going to keep falling down the list. You got to get your butt in there and play it. 87, medium weight, Great Western Trail 2nd edition. Awesome game. Check it out. 88, France 40. If you're looking for a good hex encounter game system, look no further than the 40X system. Any one of those games, whichever battle you like, Normandy, France, Holland, Battle of the Bulge, Salerno, any battle that interests you, grab that edition. You'll have a great time. Number 89, target for today. If you want a narrative game about bombing Germany in World War II, you can't get any better than this. No better game than this. Number 90, Descent First Edition. Still a classic. I have 2 boxes of this. 2, yes, 2. I'm hoarding them all. When I have all of them, I will then sell them for $1,000 a piece. I'm going to hoard every edition I can find for first edition. It's one of the greatest games ever created to mankind. Number 91 is Nemo's War. In this case, it's the 2nd edition deluxe game. You don't get anything better than this for adventure, creating your own story. It is a great game. Highly recommend it. Number 92, a gem. Trust me on this one. Lockup is a gem. It plays great solo. There is tough, interesting decisions to make. And Thunderworks Games is by far one of the best companies in making components for games. Oh my God, they're like one of the best. Number 93, Lords of Waterdeep, a classic in wargaming. In board gaming. Worker placement, extraordinarily great game. Try this game if you can get it. It's very cheap. It's been out for years and years. If you have a game group and you have 3 or 4 people, get it. 2 people, plays fine. Solo, not so much. 94, Passagory. If you and a friend have a weekend to spare or 2 weekends to spare, or you want to play online and continue a long-running campaign, this game is going to suck about 40 hours of your life out of you. Number 95, Ginkgopolis. Very quirky city-building game. Interesting design, tough decisions, good tile laying thing. Gives you variable scoring at the end of the game. Very interesting. 96, Samurai Battles, Command and Colors. It's Command and Colors. Only thing is, there's no expansions for this. I love the cheese system. It could use an expansion, GMT. I'm just saying. Hello. Black Orchestra. You don't find many games where you're trying to take out Mr. H, and this is one of the best at doing it. It's all about creating your opportunity and maximizing it at the right moment once you have all the supplies and all the people in the right positions. Number 98, the Dresden Files cooperative card game. Great design, interesting. I just can't get past the first book. What am I doing wrong? Somebody wants those playthroughs and tell me what I'm doing wrong. I've played it like 4 times and I cannot win. I cannot get past the first book. Number 99, Railways of the World. If you love railways, I love me train games. I love me little pick up and deliver, building trains, putting the little tracks on the map. If you love games like that, Railways of the World is going to be your game. Trust me, it's one of the best ones out there. It's all about managing your loans that you need to take to pay everything off. And you got to get that money income coming in so you're not taking loans. If you have tons and tons of money, but you have to pay tons and tons of loans, you have nothing. It's the person that starts off managing their money and getting just that little income coming in, just a little bit of income, and so they don't need to take as many loans. That's the person that usually is going to win this game. And number 100, do not overlook a print and play games. It's still a game whether you print it yourself and play it yourself. Pentaquest is a hidden gem. It is awesome. Well, there you go. That is my number 100 all the way down to 81 in 2025. Well, we'll see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for number 80 down to 61. If you would like to leave a like, I would appreciate that. If you would like to leave a comment down below. If you would like to tell me what games you liked of the list and which games you did not like, I'd appreciate that. I read all my comments and I reply to just about every comment I can. And I appreciate Tim and Meandering Mike and Mike Bertizelli coming by and saying hi and all the comments they've done. And Daniel Silverthorne, thank you guys for coming out tonight. We'll see everyone tomorrow, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, number 80 down to number 61. I'm really looking forward to getting this done, this project. And I can't believe we went through 20 games in that short a time. So thank you all for joining me. We'll see you soon. Until then, my friends, take care of yourself. And don't you forget, I will see you all down the line.